Hello and welcome to the Young Film Academy podcast, the essential podcast for teenagers looking to find their way into the creative industries. My name is Dan Allen. I am with co-host Ellen. How's it going, Ellen?
Hi, Dan. It's going very well. Today we're going to be talking about the story and script process of our most recent Project Paradiso. For our listeners, Project Paradiso is a project from Young Film Academy offering a select group of YFA's most promising students aged 16 to 20 the chance to create a stunning short film in a cinematic location in Sicily. And joining us are our lovely writers, Miles, Emma and Max, to talk about how they got from those first ideas to letting the script zoom off to Sicily. Hi guys, how are you doing?
Good, thanks.
Very well.
So if you want to go around and introduce yourself, that would be great. Max, do you want to start us off?
Oh, go on. Hi, I'm Max.
Hi, Max.
I was part of this. Thank you so much. I was part of the screenwriting team for Project Paradiso 2025, and yeah, it was really great fun, and I'm really happy to be here to talk to you guys.
We're happy to have you here as well. Yeah,
very happy. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm Miles. I was also part of the writers team. Yeah, good to be back on another Zoom call yet again.
Well, welcome back.
I'm Emma. I was also part of the writers team. Yeah, what they said.
So surprising, we're all on the writers team for the writers podcast.
Yeah.
I'm saying Dirk gently, guys. That is amazing. Do you love writing?
No,
You hope so.
I nearly failed my English language GCSE.
You can tell, can't you, guys? There's a curve.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I was
Really?
like,
How?
what?
How did you do that?
Ask AQA, I guess. No, I was meant to get like a good grade, and then sort of ended up with just scraping a pass. And then about a few weeks after that,
Man, I'm so sorry.
I got the call for this, and I thought,
Yeah,
Have
this
the right
is
person.
your revenge story arc. You're going to go into their
Yeah.
offices and slam down the
that.
script on the table and be like, "Look at me now."
oh yeah, definitely.
A villain origin story in the making.
Yeah, that's the word. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. So, does someone want to give, without spoiling, a little pitch and summary of what the film is about that we have created as part of Project Paradiso? Emma, do you want to give us a summary?
Kids go to Italy because they like volcanoes, and it goes wrong.
Pretty much. Pretty much the film.
Right.
I
I'm
felt-
all for encouraging people, Emma, but that was shocking. I'm going to be honest with you.
I liked that. That almost felt like one of those challenges where you have to use the least amount of information and words to say something, like one of those games.
Or in the whenever I host the quiz on the podcast at Christmas, I always do a badly explained movies round, and you have to work out what movie we're talking about. So, like, in fairness, from that perspective, it was fantastic.
You should read the quiz.
And all the information was correct, though. It was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would anyone like to put some leaves on the tree that Emma has very, very kindly
Planted for us.
Yeah, planted.
Okay. In addition to volcanoes, the story isn't really about volcanoes.
What's it really about?
It's about love and shame and joy and
So you're telling me that the volcano's a metaphor?
Everything's a metaphor.
Everything's a metaphor if you try hard enough.
It's all a metaphor.
That is the best answer.
It's all.
Our writers are being so cryptic. Like
It's all a metaphor if we say it is. We had I remember we had like question and answer session, and ages ago with the like production crew, and they were like, "Oh, this bit that you wrote is this symbolic?
Don't
of
tell
this?"
them;
And
they're
we're
going to
like,
listen to this.
It is now. Well, like
Sometimes sometimes it's better to just dump the script and run and let them make of it as they
we
will.
thought a lot about like other aspects of it, but this was just one bit that was really, it was quite a small detail, and he was like, yeah, it must mean this, and it's like very deep. And we go, oh, yeah, we sure. Whatever you want.
I always think that with like, because I've studied English lit and just like being in school and like we're all picking apart these stories, and I'm like, the author probably.
I think
just
a lot of the time with writing, like things can happen quite organically, and then you end up harking back and go, well, there must have been a reason for that.
Yeah.
Like, no, there wasn't.
Yeah, that's worked out pretty nicely.
It's like a subconscious thing.
But yeah, what were you guys' like writing experience going into the project, and like how much of it had you done? Had you written a script before? Max, if you want to.
So I haven't been like I'm super into writing and screenwriting, and I've worked in it obviously for my studies. Having done film studies, you need to do like a coursework project, so I've done a bit of writing for that, and I've worked with the Young Film Academy before as a writer, and like in the 4-day film school. So I haven't done much specific to screenwriting, so a lot of my work is like in a directing kind of general production role. So like I've worked with like the G.L.A.D.I.S group in West London and made stuff with them, and that was great. But I haven't done any screenwriting stuff specifically. So this was a great start for that, really.
What is the G.L.A.D.I.S group, just for our listeners?
So the G.L.A.D.I.S group, I wish I remembered what it meant, but I don't.
Look, it's the G.L.A.D.I.S group, all right?
No, they're this wonderful organisation that runs the West London Film Competition every year, and I won it last year, which was really fun.
Congratulations!
Thank you so much. Wow. Yeah, a small plug. Watch my film. But it's really great if you're interested in getting involved in like a really quick kind of crash course on filmmaking, and then there's a little award ceremony. So it's really great, and it's good to do through schools. So if you have a teacher, you get them and grab them by the shoulders and get them to do it.
It sounds cool though. There's what was the film that you made?
So we were given that there were 2 briefs we could do. So we either had talking about West London being a creative space, or talking about, I think it was something to do with the environment. So clearly we didn't do the second one because I don't actually remember what it was. But we wanted to do this like dance piece. So we were inspired by like the Gorillaz music video for Humility. Nice. That was it. And it like it follows along everyone on this beach. And we had this idea of doing like this really cool dance piece to get down on it by Kool and the Gang. And we explored different parts of like West London's creative hub. It was really good fun to film. But that was a joy to get involved in. So I got a bit of like directing experience from that. So now it was really great to come here and get some screenwriting stuff under my belt.
Yeah, for sure. Miles, what about you? Have you written before? What's your screenwriting kind of?
It's interesting because I've
skills?
Been at camp the last few years and done the 2-week course, and I sort of started doing the acting course. So I started doing the acting course, and then I went, I reckon that looks like a good idea and fun. And then I did filmmaking and did a lot of kind of directing work on camp 1 year, and then I went, I'd like to have.
Yeah,
the writing seems like fun, so I've gone backwards, and then sort of last year I focused a lot more on the writing. Then really from that, then I've become part of Paradiso, wrote this script, and now I am working with a group of 7 or 8 other students in my college, and we're actually writing a musical at the moment that's going to Edinburgh Fringe. Yeah, so we're going to Edinburgh Fringe this August. Yeah. So that's interesting because that's also songwriting. So I'm doing songwriting, script writing, but that's been a really great opportunity, and that's the reason that I'm not coming back on camp this year. Yeah.
Oh, you've moved on. You've moved on from us. But that's so great.
It is called. Yeah. It's a musical called Wild. It is about the life and times of Constance Wilde, who you know, Oscar Wilde, his wife, because she actually wrote a lot of. She was a writer herself, and there was some debate about some of his works actually being written by her. So yeah, so I'm writing it, and then I'm also in it.
Interesting. Nice.
That's super interesting because James Walker, your exec producer on Paradiso, he actually did a play at the Fringe when he was younger called, I think, Born to be Wild. He was telling me about it the other day, which was about Oscar Wilde as well and something to do with that. So that's a funny little connection.
There you go. You could be the next James Walker.
Maybe one day.
Maybe. Yeah. And Emma, what about you? What was your writing experience going into Paradiso, and how did you kind of discover writing was something you wanted to do?
Well, I do English A-level, so we do writing there, but it's not really script writing or anything for screen or anything. And I went to camp last year, and I really enjoyed the script writing part of it. That I say that was like my favourite part. And then Project Paradiso happened, and then I'm going back to camp this year.
Yeah. So would you say that you when you were at camp, you just discovered screenwriting, or had you done any of it before, or were you interested in films? And
I always wanted to do writing in some way. Originally I wanted to be an author, but then I was like, that's a bit too much effort, so I'm gonna look at the
You're like, scripts have got way less words in them. In fairness, you can with a script you can bang out 10 pages a day once you know what you're writing and you sort of work. So
I've also had that mindset, because I've done kind of creative writing, prose writing and script writing, but I almost find it easier to do prose writing because you can kind of just let it flow. But with screenwriting, sometimes it's stop and start, and you've got to it's less kind of flowy, if that makes sense. So there's pros and cons with the speed of it, I think. But yeah, I definitely went into screenwriting thinking so many less words, it's going to be much easier and faster. But then I'm just still I don't know what to write. But yeah. So that's really great that all of you are doing more writing. And so we kind of discussed what the film was about. We had a brief summary. So it was it's a group of 4 people who go to Italy to research this volcano.
They're students. They're not just there for no reason.
They have interest. They have They're students. They're volcanologists. And how did you come to this idea? What were you given to work with as a starting point? Were you given a genre, the location, and how did it evolve into what it was? Yeah, what was that starting point like?
We started with, first we had our genre and location. So we comedy, but so we were told it was going to be a comedy, which last year I think it was horror, and the year before that I don't know if they had a specific genre, which comedy is hard because you have to try and be funny, and if you're not funny, and that's bad. And we had our location, which was the what's it called, the farm in Sicily,
the farm in Sicily, near Mount Etna.
And then really it was ground zero, nothing, blank slate.
So were you showing pictures of the place, of the different spaces you could use. Gotcha.
And did you feel? How did you feel about getting comedy as a genre? Because as you said, it was like quite a difficult one. Like, yeah, what was your reactions when you found out it was going to be comedy?
So excited. I typically, so like the stuff I've written in the past has been a kind of weird, offbeat. I play around with like horror and sci-fi a fair bit. I kind of have to. I do like chemistry, biology, A level. It has to be sci-fi, otherwise it's for nothing. But for my film studies coursework, I've written a short comedy about two skater boys who are trying to figure out their careers and like work in an office. And so coming off the back of that, finding out we were doing comedy, like as I was like finishing writing that, I was so excited, especially with like such a different environment to write about. I can't say I've ever written about a farm in Sicily. I can't say I've written about a farm full stop. So it was definitely, as Miles was saying though, it is daunting because if you're not funny, it's not going to be good. So I think that it's kind of like higher stakes, I suppose, in the sense that you can have a really great story, but you need to have those comedy beats. And I think we prioritize that quite a lot, throughout the whole writing process.
And it was difficult.
So did you have to come up with a series of ideas first? Like what was the remit? You were showing these pictures. It wasn't just like go and then you come back with a script. Like I assume you have to come up with log lines first and sort of build the ideas from the ground up.
We had a lot of I think so. The problem we had, and I think it's a really interesting thing I've taken from this, and I think it might be useful for other people as well who are starting out in it, is that it's easy to have an idea for a film that is kind of just this thing happens rather than something to drive the plot. So a lot of the ideas we were saying were like, we said something about ghost hunters at one point. That was something we lingered on for ages. But
we were dead set on having the ghosts versus volcanoes.
Yeah.
I remember that version. Yeah.
I do. I remember that. And I thought that was a lovely idea. But you're also working with the short form, like a short film, so you've got to consider that as well.
And that's the challenge, really. A lot of it comes from like you've got an idea, but there's no like propulsion to it. I think when we were talking about ghosts, I think Josh was asking us like, so what are they? Why are they there? We go, ghosts, isn't it? And then you realise the more. Oh, go on.
It's almost like building a car and not putting an engine in it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the mistakes that you can make. You say, great, I've got a great car, but it can't go anywhere.
But that was so great to work with. And I think especially like now, I don't know if you guys have got this in your work, but it's like in mine, I found that I can have a really great idea that like looks lovely, but then I need to find like the sort of jet engine to what I'm actually writing about. So I found that really helpful. It's not just someone's there and it happens. You have to have like something that keeps the ball rolling. So.
Yeah,
100%. It's a really big thing with script writing is this idea of an engine. Could one of you maybe explain sort of what an engine of a film is?
Yeah, so it's like the awkward pause.
Yeah.
So I think if you're thinking of an engine of a film, you've got to think what is the driving force behind the action that it's happening. Think of it. You have to have a reason and a motive, especially when you're working with characters. And this year we were working with 4, which is one more than they've had in the past, I think. So you need to have distinct barriers and boundaries between the characters and find their drive and their motivation for what they do, which is sometimes quite difficult because you can then end up with characters that are quite one-dimensional because you think, well, they are like this, so they will do this. And you've got to then have a sort of central point that gives all of them a reason for moving forward and moving that story forward. And in our case, it was, I'm trying to sort of put it into words, but you have this sort of, they're in a situation, what goes wrong to then make them want to move forwards. In our case, it was the device not working, and then them trying to set each other up. That then gives that forward drive and forward momentum and sort of gets the ball rolling on the story, rather than just saying, okay, we're going to hotbox these characters in a thing. They're trying to research a volcano and you can watch that for 20 minutes because that's boring.
I think it would be fun. Great. So you came up with lots of ideas. You then had this idea. What was the first bit of the idea? Obviously, I know you mentioned ghosts, but was it something to do with volcanoes? Was that the first sort of seed that popped up amongst the group?
I don't think it was the first one. I think I was. I'm not. I was talking to my partner about it today, and I was like, it was in December. But I think a lot of our early
I'm not going to be able to answer a single question. It's way too long ago.
I had to take like 15 minutes before I got it going, what did we actually do? We did so much in such a short amount of time. It was so intense. I don't think the volcano bit came around early. I think because the way we started it was we were reflecting on the kind of comedy we all like, and I think kind of a common thing for like Emma and Miles, I think, was like kind of a rom-com sitcom thing between you both. So what were the shows you both liked? I think someone liked Mean Girls, the film. Was that Emma?
That wasn't me. That wasn't me. Not that there's anything wrong with Mean Girls.
Mean Girls is great.
Not that there's anything.
That's a great film.
Not the 2024
Are you being defensive,
version,
Miles? Are you being defensive?
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Mean Girls from the 90s is good. Mean Girls from a year ago is awful.
Oh, we're not talking about a musical remake. No, absolutely not. No. Emma might be. That's okay though, Emma. Like, I haven't seen it.
And likewise, there's nothing wrong with the Broadway musical. That's also very good. Anyway, enough Mean Girls.
So I've heard.
Oh, but we were investigating a lot of these sort of the comedy we like, because it's the thing of like, write what you know. So if you're most exposed to one type of comedy, it's quite easy to write from that perspective.
Yeah.
So we had a look at that, and we were kind of running the idea of like, do we want to maybe take like a rom-com idea? And so I think in all the ideas, someone was flirting with someone. Whoever it was, we have no idea. But
whatever happens, I just want to see some flirting, all right?
Yeah.
I think also we drew each of the kind of things that we'd watched into it. So for me, it was definitely sitcoms. Emma, for you, it was definitely rom-coms, and Max, for you, it was sci-fi. And we have all of that in the final script, in the final film.
Yeah,
like from day one, I was like, okay, sitcoms, things like The Office, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, that sort of thing. Max was sci-fi, and I can't name any. And then you had rom-coms, so we merged them all together.
And was that then? Was it story first, then characters, or how did it?
I don't think so. I think it was.
We had a log line.
Honest, a lot of. Yeah.
I think we had a log line first, then characters, then story, then story beats, then script.
Yeah.
And because there's you've got 4 characters, and were you initially given like there's going to be 4 characters in the story, or was that that was something that was laid out from the beginning?
And we knew who our actors would be as well.
Yeah. And did you how did you like develop those characters? And because there's 4, and I've read the script and I know there's kind of balances and contrasts going on. If someone wants to speak about that.
Yeah, I think so we were sent all like tapes from the actors, and so I think a lot of what we generated for the characters was stuff that we kind of seen glimpses of in the tapes, and I think that's kind of what informed a lot of the jokes. There is I think there's a reference of a vape in the script, and we had quite a big giggle about when we were writing it. But that was what was great about it. A lot of the character development came so early from watching these tapes and going, God, I'd love to see this person do this.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know about you two, but
I just keep thinking about crush it with creatine. That's what I keep thinking of.
they're all people that I've met in real life as well. So Max, I don't think you have, and Emma, you were on camp, so maybe, but I met them all last year, and I think Malika the year before. So yeah, that was also kind of an interesting, like, what would they be like?
Yeah. And you did you work with the directors at all, or was your script like passed on to them and then you got feedback?
We put our baby up for adoption. Yeah.
We sent our baby away. I miss him.
Because you had that first read through with everyone.
Yeah.
And you got feedback like from the crew and just from everyone. What was the experience of like getting feedback in those early drafts? Like, did you feel kind of defensive, or were you like welcoming the feedback? Or
I think defensive, just humbling.
I think it's not like one of the best things about being like starting out in this kind of industry is being able to learn and not have a big ego about it. You know, it's really easy to go into like, oh my God, I'm going to be writing, so this is like my work. And, you know, it's not like that. I think it was very collaborative. You know, we kind of came together and we tried not to let too many egos kind of conflict with each other. So I think we'd already edited the script so much before we got to like the actual reading. I maybe just from my perspective, I don't know. But when there was feedback, I was kind of like still in edit mode, like, yes, great, give me more. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a really difficult mindset to get to, especially when you're sort of newer to the industry and younger, is that like notes feel like a criticism. And like, it's still so like I've only recently got to a place where I enjoy notes, and a note to me is like, oh, the thing I'm doing isn't having the intended effect for someone. How can I improve it now to get that intended effect? You know what I mean? So seeing it all as like positive to get the project further along. Don't get me wrong, there's always occasionally bad notes, but like for the most part, you know, they're lovely things. How did you find that? Yeah, each of you, like Emma, did you have any? How was it getting notes on sort of things you'd written and stuff?
I mean, we got so many notes. I kind of was just willing. Change.
You just go numb to it.
Yeah, but they were all really useful, and I think they changed the way like I approach writing now. So they were.
I think also.
How did they change? Sorry, how did they change the way you approached writing?
Well, initially, I would like cram in as much as possible, but then I think for screenwriting, it's more like what you don't say, kind of. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because like we had to cut down a lot of what we had into a script that would work for how long you guys could film for.
Like it's kind of a process of putting everything you've got in there and then stripping it back until it's like this clean, lovely thing.
I think it's about having like a good balance between knowing when to go, yep, that's fine, we gotta sometimes kill our babies. And then on the flip side is also being able to kind of fight your corner if you feel strongly about it. Because some edits we found, all three of us were like texting on the group going, no, we gotta make sure this cannot get cut out. We're very passionate about A, B, and C. So I think...
Can you give us an example of something that you were adamant didn't get cut?
Ooh.
There are definitely things.
Was the vape one of them?
No, he loved the vape.
The vape is a starring role, I think.
I suppose you might have been adamant about keeping it, but it possibly didn't
encounter much backlash.
Pressure to remove.
Yeah, the cast.
No.
I think the one
paid actor.
Blue raspberry. I think we all kind of
Blue raspberry
felt. I think some of the jokes were kind of like boom moments, you know, and some of the edits made it run almost like too smoothly. And I think what we were keen to do is like, oh no, we need a moment where this is just like a funny gag, rather than it's at points it felt like little giggles. Okay,
I'm going to pull up the script.
But we wanted to have these big. Yeah.
Did you
Get it up.
Did you find, because obviously it was a comedy, there was sort of this battle between jokes and like pushing the story forward, and sometimes you'd have to like let one or the other sit back, or like finding a way to do it both at the same time? How was
hard,
that?
Man, it was hard. It was a long day. Oh, it was this thing. I think the balancing like story and humor was really hard, because we were laughing a lot at like our first few read-throughs, but then there were clear points where the story just did not make sense, and it was really funny, but then you're delving into some like Monty Python Mighty Boosh territory where it doesn't really make sense, but it's okay. But you know, for like a 15-minute short film, it's not like a skit show. It's something that kind of has to have a tangible story. So that was, I think, the story, but at least from my perspective, that was really hard to balance out and have something that keeps the ball rolling.
Emma, did you find it hard as well? Like, what was your kind of take on that?
Well, I think in the first few drafts, it was very much like focused on the dialogue, and then Josh was like, okay, let's incorporate some physical comedy. So it sort of changed a bit with what we were trying to include, I think.
Yeah. Miles, what about you?
Sorry, boss.
With the balancing like the comedy and the story, how did you find that?
I sort of had almost the opposite problem. I would sort of write things and they would progress the story forward, and then I would think, ooh, this needs to be funny. How do I make this hilarious? And then I might go too far the other way, and it's sort of it's sort of like juggling, and you've got to think, oh, I've got to keep all the balls in the air at once. And
this needs to be less funny. Is that what you're going too far?
This is too funny. Yeah.
But
have you found anything that you wanted to keep in?
No, I was scanning through it and I just thought, this is all a blur. It was,
you put that star to the back of your mind.
How you get there is just, I was like, yes, I remember this. I remember this, but how it happened? No.
So you came up with stuff together, I was just going to ask, but did you then write scenes individually? How did it work as a collaboration?
Yes.
How did you guys work together and independently?
So we sort of had the rough idea, and we collaborated all together for the sort of beats of the story. We would then, when we came to do our beat sheet, which for anyone listening, the beat sheet is basically an outline of what happens in one particular scene. And it's how you essentially have scenes with a purpose, and you write down what's going to happen, what the characters' motivations are, and how the story is going to progress. We had virtual sticky notes. Then each of us took, say, 3 or 4 of these beats to construct. And then what we would do to put them up on their feet is we'd all go away, write out our beats, which turned later sort of into scenes with a little bit of adjusting. Then we would all collaborate, have a look, go, oh, I think this should tweak a little bit. And this is where the ego thing comes in, because we all had to honestly speak to each other. And if we thought we could add something, someone would have to speak up. If we said, no, I don't like that, someone would speak up. And had to be zero sort of uber getting tetchy about things almost. But yeah, that's generally how this process worked.
Mm-hmm. And how did you decide like who went away with which bit of the script, like to
we
write?
Did it in order. So I did 1 to 3, Emma did 3 to 4 to like it. I did a third, Em did a third, Max did a third, and then from one bit, I think I ended up writing one at the end. Max ended up writing one at the beginning. Like it was fluid, but that's how we started.
Yeah. And did it change at any point when someone was like, "Oh, I'd like to take this bit, and you can have this bit," just like
we would all adjust things.
And were they like, and did it did that feel easy to do, or were there any kind of challenges, not like with each other, but just like with the collaborative process? And like, how did it differ from sort of doing things on your own, what you're used to?
I think everyone's got kind of a different style of writing, you know, even if you're writing under the same kind of umbrella, we've all got different ways of it's like speaking in different accents, you know, we've all got a different accent of writing. So I think
I love that.
Trying to like adapt to that, you know, I mean, like a problem I have is I'm a yapper. I'm a terminal yapper, and you know, like trying to get my scenes down to like one page, I felt like I was tearing up.
I remember that. So at one point, I'd written a scene and you'd written a scene, and then I had to stick them together, and then having the awkward conversation with you afterwards. Well, I've cut this massive chunk, and sort of. It's a bit...
Wait, was that you'd both written the same scene and you were kind of like merging them?
We'd sort of overlapped a little bit, and then I'd written scene 9, Max had written scene 10 or whatever, and then Max was then writing something else, and I was then working on combining them and making them flow into one, because we decided that it should be everything in those two scenes should happen in one location in one section. So then I had to sort of which difficult, because I think it was probably more difficult for me than you, because I was thinking, oh god, I'm going to seem really rude, and you're probably thinking, oh no, I think that's fine.
Because I knew what the problem was, and I think it's purely like it's like trying to calibrate your scene so it just runs smoothly. So I wasn't bothered, and I think that's kind of a thing that's really common as well if you're starting out in the industry. You're like, oh my god, I don't want to step on anyone's toes, when it's just trying to make everything smooth. And I kind of get what you mean. You know, there were some points in the writing where we were like, some things were a bit too long, and trying to bring that up to other people, you feel like, oh my god, this is I'm crushing someone's dreams, when it's just like a few lines of dialogue. You're going, that's a bit too long, mate.
Yeah.
So, you know, but the joy is this little group we've got, so lovely. Everyone's so lovely. And there weren't any like moments where someone was going, actually, I think it should be all about this and what I want. No. I don't think there was any of that. At least I hope not. Please tell me. But it was genuinely, it was a really chill group, and I think that's what's great, you know.
And I think it's how you communicate to each other the different notes. Like, it's not the note itself, it's like how you get that across to that other person without coming across as brutal.
Or as Chanel would say, savannah.
Yeah. The story itself, it's about young people. You're young people writing it. What kind of themes or like inspiration did you take from like being young, or like what did you really want to have in there that felt relevant to young people, I guess, these days?
Sigma male culture,
even though it's a crazy yeah
that was a big one.
So is that one of the characters?
Yeah, one of the characters played by Scott. He's kind of on the Sigma grind, and it was great.
It's going to seem awful because we said that the tapes reminded us of these people, but it didn't for him. But we don't think you're like okay.
Oh, we're so horrible.
Yeah, but crushing it with creatine.
Creatine's good for brain health as well, guys. Or functionality. I don't know about health, but definitely functionality.
Yeah, but have you crushed it?
It's down to 4, mate.
I think...
I crushed life with creatine.
I think a great thing that we had when we were writing was trying to explain to Josh some of the stuff from our generation. And, like, what was some of the things we had to tell him? Like, there were a few words that he didn't know we were talking about. Do we remember any of them? It was a while ago, so I'm trying to
look at Scott's bits.
But yeah, were there any other kind of themes or like things in there that felt relevant to being young today. Which feels like a weird question to ask because it's a film about volcanoes, but like, what was under the surface there?
I think like it's.
We had Angie with her whole sort of Visco Girl thing.
Yeah,
Oh, what does that mean?
How do we? How do we explain the Visco Girl?
No, it's not.
The wild Visco Girl, her natural habitat. How do we? Because I'm not as familiar. Because I know like the turtle shell necklaces and like the but that's.
Now that you said that though, I quite
Did she
like
have a necklace in the film?
I hope so.
Next to each other, being on their phones the whole time, and the whole dialogue takes place without any eye contact.
She definitely had a Save the Turtles t-shirt.
Yeah, I think we were also connecting a bit to like there is a perception, I think, from some like people in older generations where Gen Z and that are like always on their phones and they're like super antisocial. And I think it's kind of boring to present a whole group of people like that. There's nuance in our connection to media, and you see that a lot
I think
that's really interesting that you said that as a younger person, like, because to all like slightly older filmmakers, like people older than me, phones have been like a real nuisance.
I think we did have sort of a pretty harsh no phone rule unless necessary.
Yeah,
because we were all saying that we think that smartphones in media and film and TV
incredibly uncinematic.
It can be effective and when necessary, fine. But a lot of the times, I think it can sort of ruin the immersion of it.
Yeah,
if someone just whips out their phone and. I don't mind like a phone call. I hate the FaceTime.
Oh God!
Like a quick phone call, fine, but the FaceTime thing.
It cringe as well. Like text pop up on the screen. Max has just visibly cringed.
You see it so much in like the series You, which is great in so many places. But the one thing I hate is like how phones are used. No. That show is why I don't have Face ID on my phone, because the amount of people that Joe Goldberg just straight up kills because he can just show their face on their phone and nick it. Like, I don't want that. So it's kind of irksome to have it be. It's almost like, anything can be done with a phone. People meet and it explains everything. And I think a lot about. Has anyone read the play DNA? The play DNA. Does anyone know what it is? Yes.
Yeah.
So there's no phones in that. And that's why it can be made for like any generation, because you can't tell when it's dated. So DNA, just as like a brief synopsis, a group of friends, they've accidentally murdered a friend of theirs and they're trying to cover it up. And it's great because all the dialogue, like if there were phones in that script, 90% of the play would not exist because they could just text and then done. So trying to like remove it entirely just means like the viewer could ask, oh my god, but why aren't they using their phones? Which I don't know, you could do, but I doubt they would. I doubt that that's going to be a primary thing in their brains. But it just means that writing the script is a little bit easier to make it like smooth and make it make sense. So yeah.
It plagues horror films as well, where even my own, you have to put a line in being like, oh my god, we've got no signal, just to remove them from the equation. Like, it's literally just to write them out of the film, to remove the element of why don't they call someone, because I think people do think it, even if you hope they don't. But it sounds like in that world, it's sort of maybe a world where the phones just not exist in that world, I guess.
And that's why I write sci-fi.
I think the other thing the thing that bugs me is the FaceTime call, but when the call is clearly like superimposed onto the phone screen with a like high quality camera. Like when it's
and they're sitting upright, like with a perfect background in their bed.
It's like clearly like shot on like an Arri Alexa, like the highest end camera, and it's like you didn't shoot that.
And it's perfect. It's a perfect window. Like it's
It's like when I call my mates, they just see all like. Let me give you like a brief. Hold on. It's fully just like that. I'm like, "What's up, guys?
Thank God this is a podcast."
Just for you guys, just to explain. Can someone give like a brief description of what I'm doing right here? It's just all chin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very close to the face.
We can
like it's opened. And
please, I'll put my hair just for this.
Well, we'll make sure we'll put out the video so nothing's wasted. Everyone can see everyone's great hair.
Especially yours,
so
Dan.
your approach was
it's washed, but it's not started yet.
Doesn't need to be.
Your approach was no phones, vapes.
Yes.
Sigma Bro, is that what you said? And I forgot what you called the
Visco girl.
The other person type. So kind of like bringing in Gen Z elements, but also debunking what everyone kind of assumes Gen Z to be, like kind of a bit satirical, I guess, and also showing nuance. Does that sound about right? Yeah. And how did it feel towards the end when you had to let it go, and now it went off to be filmed, and now it's in post? Like, what was the experience?
I would answer, but Dan, are you good?
Because tonight won't be the night I will talk to you.
I think.
Sorry, I'm good.
This is not the first time that Dan's done that. To me,
got the right hair for it.
You're welcome. Full for you though. That was a mistake. Sorry.
What was the question?
I'm good. Yeah, what was the question, Ellen?
How did it feel once it was over and you had to hand over your finished script to the filmmakers?
Yeah, I think it was. There was definitely a lot of relief because it was a really intense period for us. Like, I can't imagine how intense it was for the production crew, because that's like a week's worth of work. I think ours was a bit more spaced out, but we had like long days of just writing and then some periods of like breathing time, and then we'd come back. But I think. So when we sent it off, there was definitely like an air of relief of, oh my God, we can now breathe. But it is daunting, especially from like a writing perspective. You've built up an image of what your work's going to look like, and so giving it to people who also haven't been super involved in the writing process, you do feel a bit precious about it. But no, I mean, everyone in the script reading seemed to have a really good understanding of what we'd done. So having that collaborative moment of everyone's like chipping in and going, "Oh, I liked this," or "Oh, this character was fun," or I wasn't sure about that. It's great to have that and feel like everyone's engaged. So I personally felt really encouraged about handing it over. But I don't know about everyone else. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Emma, Miles, how did you feel at the end of the process? No one?
Well, I didn't find it too bad because I sort of used Izzy on the directing team as a little inside member to see what they were doing with it.
Okay, you had someone on the inside.
Yeah. But it was like Max said, it was like a relief because the days were very long.
Yeah. Miles, what about you? How did you feel at the end?
I think Miles' audio has stopped working, so I've told him to hop in and out. I've tried.
Would anyone like to do a Miles impression whilst we wait for Miles's audio to come back? And like, go on to Miles. Emma, I feel like you've got a good Miles impression in you.
We could never. He's ethereal. We can't emulate that. You know.
No, that's true. That's
the radiant energy that he exudes. We could never.
Whilst we wait for Miles, I wonder what advice would you give the next generation of people that get onto the Project Paradiso, specifically the writing? What did you learn, and what advice would you give?
I think prepare to feel really weird at first, like genuinely, it's it's so different. It's so different from being in a classroom, because it's definitely, I'm going to say it's definitely tough being on a writer's team, because you work so quick, but you learn so much in such a short amount of time. So it's kind of like you got to prepare yourself to feel a little bit precious about your work. And I certainly felt a little bit self-conscious and a little bit of imposter syndrome, because I'm like, oh my God, there's so many edits happening. This is such a big deal. But at the same time, you know, how many people are able to have this experience where you get one-to-one feedback almost instantly, you know, and it's not being given to tell you, oh, your writing's not good. It's to make it better and to make you better at it. So,
and even that experience of getting feedback, you know, in this way, like, it's literally something that a lot of people don't experience for ages until they like really like in the industry. You know, you get feedback on essays and stuff, or you get marks and stuff, but none of it's stuff that says like, do this to improve it. It's all stuff like, this is where you went wrong, yada yada yada. Whereas this, like, getting the notes and having the notes as part of the process is very much like industry, sort of how that works. And you have those producers, you have those exec producers, you always have those voices if you're going to be a writer. So it's, yeah, I think it's a really cool, it's a really cool like emulation, I think, of sort of the actual structure and process of what it's like on a big film.
Can I
what about the rest?
Sorry, can I just add? There's something I heard from a Ravensbourne lecturer. I think his name's Ken. Nice. Love Ken, he's great. And
good old Ken.
The thing he said that really stuck with me was, the most dangerous filmmaker is one that's coachable. So a filmmaker who can't take feedback might have a few good films, but they'll never work again. But being coachable and adaptable will get you so much work in the future, and you'll be able to like make better contact and things like that, and have a consistent sort of like workflow, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I think that's such a good chat. In fact, I actually said when on the episode when we were talking to the like the production on set people, that it's one of the things we look for when putting people forward for Project Paradiso. We want people that can take notes and apply it to their work. We want to see that people are willing to learn and try things, and are willing to be sort of trained, and because we want people to progress. We need people that are going to pick up stuff and listen to what we're saying, and by the end of the week just be running with it. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a big factor, I would say. Emma, what about you? What did you learn, and what advice would you give?
I think prepare to realise you don't know a lot.
I love that.
Because I went in and then I realised, like, whoa, there's so much I didn't know. There's so much I've learnt now. And I think, just don't go in thinking you already know everything.
Miles, what about you? What did you learn from your experience? What advice would you give to someone next year?
I would say find the balance between defending the work that you've created because it's close to your heart and because it's something important to you, and building on that work. Don't think of it as getting rid of things, think of it as building things. Because if you build something, it can become better, and it's still your work. Just because you've had help with it doesn't mean that it's not yours. Accept the help, because no one in that room is trying to change what you've done. They're trying to help what you've done and make it better. Yeah. And it can always be better. And I completely agree with what both Max and Emma said, and they both said that it's not, you don't know anything. No one knows actually anything, because even the best writer in the world will still have something that they haven't seen that can be improved. And you see that in feature films, in massive budget films all the time. So yeah, build your work, don't destroy it.
We need to start another podcast called Miles' motivational metaphors, because that's beautiful.
Or Miles, if you want to record 25 10 to 15 second long little motivational quotes, we can put them in every episode throughout the year.
And we can get a jingle going as well.
Yeah, it'll be like an ad break, but with just me.
Need some elevator music in the back.
Yeah. But no, on a serious note, thank you so much, guys. This has been a lot of fun. You have given us such great insight into the writing process, and you've given some great advice for anyone who wants to write in general or like go on Project Paradiso next year. Yeah, but thank you so much, guys, and see you soon. See you at the premiere.
Hey. Cheers, thank you so much.
It was great. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.